Good morning and welcome along to another episode and the start of a brand new season from this FM21 live stream series with Dundee United. So it's part 31 today and right on course we start season 4. We're going at about 10 a season at the minute, but today we've got a big episode because we've got a big transfer special. We've got 5 or 6 deals coming into the club. We've tried to really improve, release some of or sell some of the backup players and get in some first teamers. And we're also going to try and promote a bit of youth. We've got a lot to worry about today on the pitch as well. A start to the season against two sides we really have to win if we want to be up in the top 3 again. And then we've got to worry about Europe as well, which is only just around the corner. So if you're looking forward to all of that and you are enjoying the series as we move into another season, please do chuck a thumbs up on it. Subscribe down below for regular content. And of course, come and get involved in the chat as well. It's lovely to have you all along. I hope you're looking forward to it. And I hope you're all well. I hope you've had a good week. So we're going to give you a minute to pop in before we start talking about it. Tom, tennis, what time? I've got no problems with that whatsoever. The Luton game's at 12:15 obviously, but after that, I've got no problems at all. And I might be free tomorrow part of the day now as well, so let me know. John, good morning. Thank you for popping in. Lovely to have you along as always. Nice to see a few of you waiting as always before we started. I do appreciate it. It does make a big difference when I come to log in and see there's 3 or 4 of you already waiting. The pre-stream selfie was back today as well. Greeny, good morning. I'm sure that's how you found me, isn't it? You always have a look out for them. But it's a big one today because realistically, this is our last chance here to actually try and break the old firm. The first 2 seasons, Celtic were poor. Last season, Rangers were poor. But we couldn't quite get close enough. What I will say, though, is for the equivalent position, once we got up to the 4-2-3-1 in January last year, we were the second best team in the league on form. So maybe that's an indicator of things to come. Though I'm not sure Greeny will like a couple of the signings today. Tom didn't bring the rackets, unfortunately. What a shame. Just need the physical activity, honestly. A bit of sport is something that my body needs at this point. Hopefully it won't be long before we can start doing that sort of stuff regularly again. Now, thank you to everyone coming in. Thank you for getting involved already. Do come and get in the chat if you haven't yet. And we'll head on and look at the transfer window. Because as you can see from the home screen, I mean, firstly, we've got the same couple of injury problems we seem to continue having. So they're 2 players we've got to replace soon. But we've also got the majority of our transfer budget and wage budget left. We haven't spent a huge amount, but we have sold a bit too. So it's not quite as bad as it looks. We've had a very good pre-season. I won't show you the people because obviously it will give you too many spoilers. But the last 4 games have been really good. Wins against 2 good sides in England, in Kingsland and Rotherham. A draw against Arsenal. I don't know if Chris Mockery played in that one. And then a draw away at Ipswich too. But looking at Inverness and Falkirk, they're the 2 sides who I believe came up last season. So if we can't beat them, we don't deserve to be in the top 3. That's how I put it. And you can see if we get to the last Europa League playoff, we'll face either Olympiacos or Ghent. Did we not have Olympiacos last year? We did. We seem to always get the same sides. That was in the Europa Conference. So it could well be the Greeks again. But either way, it's going to be a very difficult tie for us. Tom, which of Arsenal's stunners on Thursday was the best goal? Looking back at it, I don't know. I mean, I didn't watch them live. I watched the Tottenham game live. Because Arsenal's away games in Europe, based on the last round, were defensive holding on jobs, weren't they? So you've just got to hope that that's enough for Arsenal. Because they had the horror show last year, of course. But I would probably say Odegaard's was the best still. But you can tell me what your thoughts on that. And I would say he was a star player as well. I think he's been made Norway captain this week officially as well. Thank you to everyone coming in as well, already at double figures. Please do chuck a thumbs up if you haven't already. Come and get in the chat. Let us know who your team's playing today. We've got to be done on time because we've got the early kickoff. Maka, good morning. We've got the early kickoff with Luton Town playing Swansea at 12:15. But thanks for popping in and getting involved in the chat as always. Ria, if you say happy birthday, Ronak, I'll subscribe. Happy birthday, Ronak. Thank you for popping in. Lovely to see another face in here. And if it's your birthday, happy birthday. More importantly. But let's go and start having a look through this transfer window. We've seen that in pre-season we've done all right. But realistically, I don't know if it's enough to break the old firm. I'll be brutally honest to start with. So let's go and have a look at them very quickly, what's going on. So we keep getting loan offers for Nielsen, who I might not let go. Sporrell looks like he's on his way out. I think that's just work permit they're waiting for. There's a couple of loan players potentially going out, and there's one potential in an FM20 hero, Connor Chaplin. So I think he featured in our first ever live stream on the channel last year in lockdown, because he was part of that transfer special with Salford. But let's have a look at the players that have come in and gone out. So I'm just seeing if there's any outs there. No real big ones. But we've tried to address a few problems, and we've tried to strengthen the squad rather than just the team. Macca, in pre-season, what have your transfers been like? Well, we're about to find out. I would say that we've improved the squad, but it's not the magic we were quite hoping for. There were one or two that we almost got that would have changed this save forever, and I'll show you them as well, but unfortunately it wasn't to be. Tom Ye's their captain. I thought he played badly apart from the goal. He is starting to settle in though, generally. Gabriel's header was the best I've seen for some time. I mean, it was a good traditional header. I guess just a couple of hours earlier, Diallo's header wasn't bad for very different reasons for United. Technically, a brilliant header. But yeah, it was a good performance by all the British clubs, basically. Apart from the last minute of United, which ruined it. So, let's go and have a look at the first couple in here. Thank you to everyone popping in as well. Thank you for the extra thumbs up. Come and get involved if you haven't yet, as we start with the outs. It's basically a level playing field, this transfer window. We've only spent that million because the free agent we wanted rejected us, but still. The first one out was Jacob Davenport. Became a flop last year. Joined, didn't really play, didn't develop, didn't fit the tactic. But we got a 70 grand profit on him. So, you know, wasn't too bad in the end. But he's gone off to Huddersfield for 170,000. Logan Chalmers, a young prospect from season 1. Injuries have hampered him. He just hasn't developed. He's gone off to Hamilton Academical for 235 grand. Callum Donaldson on loan to Airdrie. He was fighting against us in the dressing room. He was the one moaning in all the pre-season talks. And he's injury prone. At 16, he needs football. He's got massive potential. But we want him elsewhere while he grows up. So he'll go to the Scottish Championship. Kai Fotheringham does the same. He goes to St Mirren after a good year of Falkirk last year. Looking for successive promotions from that division with 2 different teams. And St Mirren obviously got relegated, so he'll be a really good player in that squad. Might well be in our team by the time he comes back. Leandro Fuchs came back from his loan deal. He's gone to Fenerbahce for 400,000. Again, wasn't great. We've got an African Nations Cup this winter, I think, so it was just about trying to balance the squad. Make sure we had everyone all year. And he would have been 4th choice, so it didn't make sense. And finally, probably the slightly controversial one is Finn Malcolm. 40 grand, rising to 120 with a 50% sell-on. He's just not developed off the pitch in the way we would have liked. He had scored goals whenever he played, but he's not quite become that player. And if I go and show you quickly, the one who came through the intake last year, I know you can see the ins there, Ray Milligan. He's already 1.5 star and is improving very quickly. So it seems sensible to promote him to the 3rd choice behind Shankland and Watson. That was just my thoughts on it. Yeah, Macca, Finn Malcolm away, but there's no reason he wouldn't come back later on or make us money. But unfortunately, just the mentality didn't work for us this time. So he's on his bike, I'm afraid. So we have got a few good replacements. We've obviously got the couple of players coming in who have got some stardust or some reputation to their name, we should say. There's a couple of interesting ones, and then I'll show you the ones that got away, which will show you why I thought we might be able to get top 2 initially. So Xander Clark is the first one. This is basically Siegrist's new competition. We admit the Baxter one didn't work. We're trying to loan him out, not that it's working. But Xander Clark, from relegated St Johnstone, has got a brilliant career history there, apart from last season, and he's a very good goalkeeper. So I'm thinking, if we get a big offer for Siegrist again, if we get a loan offer for Baxter, we can save wages, save money, and have just as good a keeper. That's certainly my view of it anyway. Finley Robertson, probably the best one to come in on loan from Rangers. 3.5 star ability, 5 star potential, and within the wage structure as well. He's played for rivals Dundee for a 2-season loan, but he's got to put that into the back burner now. He's got the potential, he's got the quality, and his wage isn't astronomical. So I think, fitting into our midfield plans, Finley Robertson could be perfect. And we've always got to try and make use of the loan market if we're not an elite side. That will never change. Next one along is Jordan Holsgrove, a Scottish under-21 international who comes from Celta Vigo in Spain. Had been playing good football in La Liga, released though, and he was available on a free. We've broken the wage structure to get him because I have faith in what he can be. And I just feel like we needed to try and push a bit further. So after 100 appearances in La Liga, he's certainly qualified to come over here. And in the number 10 role, I think he'll settle in well. We'll give him a few games to get used to it, and then in he'll come. Josh Brookin is another big one. He was cheaper than Luke Matheson and slightly better. 3.5-star ability right back, can cover at centre-half. Amazing physically, brilliant mentally, determined, really good in possession. And he's good defensively as well. So I feel like he's the perfect signing for it. He's got a long flat throw, which we're not going to use just yet, but we might use later in the season because we know it can work, but it can also cause some problems. But Josh Brookin, I think, is probably a slight upgrade on Malcolm. And I think for the price and getting him for a bit less in terms of loan fee, that works a treat. But the big money signing came later in the month, and that was Mikey Johnston from Celtic. £1 million for the 24-year-old former Scottish under-21 international. 3-star ability, 4-star potential, still got that ability to get better. Played 50 games at this level for Celtic, scores goals off the wing, he's determined, he's got a good personality. And I think all he needs, looking at his recent years, is regular football. And if we can give him a full season on that left, he can stay fit, he can get himself into some decent form, he might well become a very good player. Again, a pretty good wage, has taken a good squad status in case it goes wrong. And I think either way, as long as he improves a bit, we'll probably make a profit on him. So they're the 5 that are in, and I'm pretty happy with them. Of course, let me know what you think, if you think they're maybe not good enough, if they're maybe not quite the quality you were expecting. And if I show you the ones that got away, you'll probably understand why I say that. Thank you to everybody coming in. Lovely to have so many of you here. Please do chuck a thumbs up if you haven't already. And let me go and show you the ones that could have been this summer at Dundee United. So to do that, I've got to go to the scouted players. Let's just get rid of these 4 quickly, in case there's a gem. There's a lot of youngsters we keep getting linked with, but I need players that are good now. We've got a good youth academy. So, if we take off the ones who aren't interested in a transfer, we should get all of them up. So here are some of the players we wanted to get. Some of them were hopeful scouting, like Ryan Gould, of course. But if we have a look at the ones that nearly came in. So, Ross McCrory is at Aberdeen. We had a scout report for him. We put in an offer. It got accepted. He chose the new contract at Aberdeen. $4,500 a week there on a 4-year deal. But he's become an unbelievable player. And he will be gracing the top teams. And they're the ones that we've got to try and get, really, because they're stopping the sides below us from falling away. And if we keep losing points to them because they've got those types of players, we're more likely to drop down and not finish in the top 2 or 3. However, the ones that nearly came in, the ones that got away, the big one we'll get to in a minute. Benjamin Frijan was the second one. So he's at Dinamo Zagreb. He was scouted. He looked brilliant. 18 years of age, 4-star ability, 3.5 in the roles we'd use, and unbelievable. Croatian under-21. He's got all the right attributes mentally. But they wanted so much money. They rejected $2 million, which he was initially listed as available for in a scout report. And now it just says they don't want to sell. But what a player he would have been. What a signing it would have been for the football club. The second one, and I can't quite see him here. Let's go and find him ability-wise. We lost out on Cameron McPherson, who stayed at St Mirren as they got relegated, but wasn't quite the same quality. Jack Clark, hero from our beta live stream series with Wigan Athletic. He was another one as well. Really good technically as a winger. Got the right attributes in the right places. But chose to go to QPR because he can earn massive money. Can play English Championship football. And he seems to enjoy that. So unfortunately for us, we lost out on him. And that meant we had to spend £1 million. But the real one that got away. The one that made me go, we've got to have him. Is Yacine Claude. He's an 18-year-old French regen. He was available as a free agent. Don't even ask me why he got released from the second tier French side, unless it was just that he wanted a bigger move. He's gone to Marseille now, but look at him, at 18, and he's only just turned 18 last week. Look at the quality. He's one hell of a player, and he would have been something that changed the game for us, because we would have made 10, 15, 20 million on him later down the line. But I'm afraid it's not to be. We didn't get him in, and as a result, we're left with just the 5 we've signed. What that means is we are expected, I think, still to finish third in the division this year. Let's have a look at the season preview. Yes, we are. Aberdeen are the real threat to that position because they've got the likes of McCrory, of course. And Hibs have still got a decent team as well. But we'll wait and see how that pans out. Certainly not something that we're going to put too much pressure on because second place isn't going to happen. And Rangers and Celtic, again, fighting out at the top. I don't know who's had the biggest summer of the two. Rangers have spent 40 million, sold 30 odds. So a couple of big players out and 3 or 4 coming in. And then Celtic, who had won the league last year, I mean, they did most of their good work last summer. But I wonder if they've done it again. Oh, they've sold a couple of big ones. So Sarpreet Singh has gone to Leeds, who wasn't a standout player. But Federico Rica at left back was. Really good footballer. And I don't know if they've replaced him at left back. They've got a good Japanese winger there for a decent deal. There's only a youngster at right back there. Wage on a free agent deal is a pretty good deal. Gacinovic, another good player. And Emre Kilnic, they haven't replaced the left back. So surely they're just making their team weaker, are they? I mean, they've got a decent one, but it seems a bit of a bizarre window for them. So I would say based on that, Rangers are probably back in the ascendancy. What we've got, though, is a start against Inverness and Falkirk. 2 of the games we really should be winning. And I'm hoping today, as we go and get into these games, we'll be able to produce something special. So thank you again to everyone coming in. I do appreciate your support as always. Hopefully you're enjoying the episode. Hopefully you think our transfer work's been good. But of course, it can all go wrong if we don't win this game. You never know how quickly it's going to go wrong. So fingers crossed it won't do today as we get into our first games of the season. Inverness and Falkirk are the 2 that we're facing. Do you think we can get the wins? I guess they're the big questions because we would expect it would probably go wrong a little bit now. Thank you to everyone coming in as well. Lovely to have you all here this morning. Come and get involved in the chat if you haven't already. Let us know what you think as we go through the first couple of games of the season. Because obviously there is plenty of opportunity for this to go wrong. Let me show you the lineup that we've gone for today. Now, I've tried to be a little bit reserved in the new ones we bring in. But with the injuries to the wingers, we've not really had too much of a choice. And I've had to look after some of the legs already because of the heavy match load, which I'm finding a little bit difficult. So it's not all quite as we'd hoped it would be. But there's still plenty of promising signs. So we don't want to get too downhearted. You can see that a couple are going to be making their debuts today. So the likes of Finlay Robertson, he is going to come in for his debut. We're also going to have the likes of Holsgrove come in. He's going to be making his first appearance for the club and his first appearance back in Scotland as well. So we've got some positives to look forward to there. I'm just bringing up the chat here so I can catch up again. And there we go. So here is the lineup for the first game of the season. Of course, Mengi stays from last year, as does Tyreek Mitchell. Gives us that solidity at the back. However, the rest of the team we've had to make choices. So we've stuck with Siegrist rather than Clark today, just to give us more sort of consistency, I guess, without making too many changes to start. And then more of the new players coming in are in attacking areas. So Matt O'Reilly is on the bench for this one. I was tempted to play him instead of Holsgrove. And in fact, I think I might because we're away from home. And we need someone who's a bit more defensively minded. So in that fact, it's just Robertson who's going to make his debut. And Mikey Johnston on the left. Apart from that, it's Siegrist in goal. It is Brooking, Mengi, Finlay and Mitchell as the back 4. As I've moved my camera over so you can barely see me now. There we go. Josh Brooking was excellent for me when I was at Coventry. Quality player. Well, I sort of had the toss-up of him or Matheson. Brooking wanted, I think, 500 quid a week less. And there wasn't a loan fee involved. And I just thought, for the attributes, he's probably slightly better. And he's got that experience playing in England. He's got a better personality. He's more determined, which you've seen us crumble when we concede a goal before. So I thought he might work. McCann and Robertson at the midfield 2. Then Bele, O'Reilly now and Johnston on the 3. And then up front on his own is Lawrence Shankland. But we've got Darren Watson on the bench. We've got Holsgrove. We've got Mallon. We've got some real quality in that side. So into the game we go. It's the first of the season with Dundee United. We head to Inverness with the same tactic, the same layout. We need a big result to start. Josh Brookings pleased to be making his debut. And there's a few others who are coming in and need to hit the ground running. So hopefully it's going to be a positive result. I mean, it is a game we should be winning. I'll go and have a quick look at what Inverness have done in the window. We'll get through 2 or 3 games today, but you would expect it to be good at this point, quite frankly. Thank you to everyone coming in as well. Lovely to have you here for the start of the season. Macca McNulty has gone, and I'll tell you why, actually. I'll show you the main reason. Bear with me. Let me get through the team talk. If I go and have a look at Mark McNulty, just have a look at some of his stats if he hasn't left Reading yet. There you go. So, £6.5 million he's worth. And perhaps more importantly, he's now on 20 grand a week at 31. He was on 4.5. And they've decided to quadruple his wage. For what reason, I'm not quite sure, because he was declining last year. And although he had a brilliant record for us, you can see there, he scored over 1 in 2. 60 out of 100, essentially. But yeah, it didn't work out. They wanted 4.5 million. He wanted 12 grand a week. And they wouldn't loan him. So there was no way of getting him in. And Darren Watson, to be fair to him, has already been top scorer in this division with Ayr. Has already had a very good season with us. We had to give him a chance, I think. So I'm just having a look. There's a few familiar names in this team. Bannigan, Keatings, Ridgers in goal. So it's not the worst side in the world, but it is still one we should be beating. But of course, we've said that many times and it's gone wrong. Ronak, welcome along. Thank you for popping in. Lovely to have you here as always. I hope you're all well this week. I hope you're enjoying the series and I hope you're getting on okay. And I hope that we're going to create more chances than we've seen in the first 20 minutes here. As Mitchell's long throw is headed away by Devine. McIntosh holds it up for Inverness. Finds Keatings in the middle. Back to Bannigan. He goes wide. It's going to be intercepted by Brookin. The new signing gets it down the line to Dembele. And look, he's off. Look at that pace. Look at that agility. Look at the engine. He's just off straight away. Robertson, the new midfielder, out to Mikey Johnston. Gets into the box. Goes wide to Mitchell. Chance to cross. There's 4 in there. They're piling in. O'Reilly's one of them. We bought him in last minute for Holsgrove. And he has started the season on fire. Matt O'Reilly with the opening goal. 1-0 Dundee United. And I'm sort of hoping with the signings we've got that Siegrist and O'Reilly can start well and perhaps get a big offer from elsewhere. It really is going to be an interesting season, this one. As we go to the last 10 minutes of the first half, I'm hoping with Brookin, mainly determination and mentality-wise, we'll be a bit more solid defensively because we won't just crumble when we let in a goal. But going forwards, that's where the changes aren't quite as good as we'd hoped. But we've still got good footballers. And with a full season, they could get a lot better, a lot more quickly. As Dembele surges down the right, beats 3 or 4. Not having him out injured at the start is going to make a big difference. As it falls for Robertson on the edge of the box. His shot's blocked and falls to O'Reilly. And with wonderful technique from 12 yards, he curls it into the corner on the half volley. And Matt O'Reilly, an inspired pick. Well, forget the fact we were going to drop him for so long. Because he's become one hell of a player today. And he's been the key man in his performance so far. Let's head through to the dressing room. Tell the lads to keep it up. It's going to be an important performance. Because we've had a few games last year where we were 2 up, we were 3 up, and we started to throw it away. So it's all about making sure we see out games now. Make sure we're consistent. I'd like to get O'Reilly a hat-trick because he's knackered and I want to take him off. But it doesn't look like that's going to work either. So with 25 minutes to go, I think it's time to make some substitutions. Mikey Johnston has made his debut, but Watson can now come on. Dembele will switch to the left-hand side. O'Reilly is a bit tired, and I know he's going to be unhappy because he's on a hat-trick, but Jordan Holsgrove will get a debut too. And then at right back, Brookins looking complacent, but otherwise, we're playing really well. So I don't think I want to change anything at the moment, but I will probably take off Robertson or McCann and give Stevie Mallon a run out soon. In fact, let's do that now. 20 minutes to go. We might as well go and make that change. In fact, it's nearer to 15. So who's got the better stamina out of the midfield too? Definitely McCann. Robertson's not the fittest naturally. So Stevie Mallon on for him. Deep line playmaker on support. And that's what I mean about the stronger squad. Just having 3 players that are good in that position means that hopefully we'll be able to rotate a bit. And Mallon and McCann won't just be exhausted at the hour mark every game the second half of the season. As Watson gets the ball to Brookin on the right. Beats the challenge. Gets into the box. The cross is cleared away by Devine. Mackay flicks it on. Mallon gets it in. Holsgrove down. Dembele down. That's got to be a penalty. Shankland's got a chance to get off the mark. Donaldson should have been off really. But Lawrence Shankland, chance to score and gets his first of the season on the opening day. Exactly what we needed from Lawrence Shankland and Dundee United. And it is 3-0 with a few minutes to go. A brilliant performance, a brilliant start to the season. But we have got to bear in mind, we're playing the 2 promoted sides first. Don't get too excited about the results. As Mengi picks the ball up at centre half. By a long way, the best player at the club now. As Shankland gets it on the right hand side. Crosses in again, Dembele's there for a 4th. And he's made it 4. We really are coming to the party. This is a ruthless streak we have not seen for a long time from this side. The longer this can continue, the better. Thank you to everyone popping in. I hope you're enjoying the start to the season. I hope you're proud or enjoying seeing our transfers in action for the first time, because they certainly look good. And that is about as comprehensive as you can go. It might be an indicator that Inverness are going to have a tough year. But for us, we can only beat what's in front of us. And that was as good as it comes. A 4-0 victory to start. Falkirk next up. They're the other promoted side. We've got to do well in that one too. So I'm hoping that will be the case when we get into it. I think we've got to probably rely on the likes of Ted and Mengi this year, because he's sort of the star man at centre half. He's the best rated player at the club now. He's worth about £20 million, believe it or not. Other results, Rangers won, Celtic haven't played, Hibs drew, Aberdeen lost. Maybe that's what we needed. We're kind of hoping Aberdeen went out of Europe and McCrory would be available for less, but I don't want to spend the whole budget on him really. I've still got that resentment when we're not guaranteeing Europe every year to pay £10 million for someone. But let me know what you think. If I should blow the budget on 2 or 3 good signings from other Scottish clubs, perhaps it works. But I don't know. It's something I've always found unrealistic, because Dundee United wouldn't go out and spend 10 million on Aberdeen's star player, as long as they're not in the top 2. Well, the Scottish Premiership kicks off, and it kicks off in style for Dundee United. So let's go and have a look, because McCrory's someone I really do want to sign. I can't lie to you. But he won't join us, and they want loads of money. I'm going to scout him again just to see if we can get him for less, but I'm not holding up much hope at this point. Thank you to everyone popping in. Do appreciate it this morning. Maka, is this a one club save or are you open to moving clubs? Oh, definitely open to moving. The idea was that we took them all the way to break the old firm. And I think if we don't do it this season or don't have a massive run in Europe, we probably won't. So I'm certainly not against moving. It was only last season, actually, we did apply for the Luton job when it came up. When we were in our difficult phase, should we say. But it's hard to predict what's going to happen this season because we've got the weaker opposition first. Of course, Celtic and Rangers have still got that spending power. And if they make the European groups again, it will be the same pattern. So I don't really know what to predict with it, to be honest. But yeah, certainly by no means a flat-out one-club save. Let's go and get some of these players into the under-23s, or the reserves as it is. Nielsen can have a game. Dehaney can have a game, and Jason Kerr too. I don't actually think we've got a game till next weekend. We haven't. And then it's just waiting to see who we get in the European playoff, which will inevitably be the start of Tuesday night's one. Celtic faced Motherwell on the first day. Any drop points for them? Absolutely not. And the left back scored as well. We've sold an extra 300 season tickets, which is a positive side moving forward. And if we can get to the Europa League groups financially, it might allow us to splash a bit and get better players in. Because at the moment, we're working in a market which isn't really good enough for what we want. I mean, even with the director of football, they're suggesting players that are outside of our financial bracket. Connor Chaplin and Jack Clark and many of those this summer. I guess the French lad as well. They've rejected us for other clubs. I don't mind so much with the Marseille one, but when it's for League One and a championship in England, it shows that the league isn't developing as quickly. So that's of course a worry too. But otherwise, it's a decent start to the season in truth. We've got Falkirk at home next, who didn't do too badly in their first game. And they've actually, I think, If I remember rightly, they were the ones who were investing in the summer. There was one club where I kept seeing things pop up. So Falkirk, yeah, they've bought in loads of players. I mean, they've not invested huge money by any stretch. And they did lose a couple of players, like Miles Story went to Sunderland, not quite sure why, and one to Dundee as well. But they've got a few players in here. They've just really bolstered the squad. They've got Jason Naismith back from Burton, a really good player. Liam Burt from Ayr, decent siding. John Guthrie from Queen's Park, solid backup. A couple of youngsters from Montrose, which aren't great. But then this season, they've gone on a spree. So Greg Kilty comes in on a free. Sean Byrne, who we had at Dundee in the head coach. Yesten Hughes, a right back, another quality young player. Daniel Grimshaw, good goalkeeper, backup keeper. Bajrami, 23-year-old Albanian centre-half. Lee Kavanagh on loan from Sheffield United, decent young defender. Marley Miranda from Colchester, good young midfielder actually. And then Aramindi Otte, he comes in and he's a good striker. So they've really tried to develop themselves into a top tier side this summer. They're putting a lot of effort into it. So it's not going to be as easy as the Inverness game, I don't think. They hadn't really backed their manager in the summer. They hadn't improved quite so much. So that's something that perhaps won't happen so quickly. Ray Milligan throwing in the goals in the reserves game. That was against a good team, wasn't it? It was against Rangers reserves. He scored 4 goals. And given a season of development, he could be brilliant. The same for Stephen Dunn at left back. So I have got a lot of optimism for these guys. You can still see some of the other youngsters in there. There's still a few doing well. But I think we've got one of the best academies in the country now. So there's certainly a lot of positives on that front. Let's try and skip ahead and get to the Falkirk game, because I think we've got them in the League Cup after as well. So we'll try and get both of them into today's episode. We've had an offer for Jack Byrne. Now this is interesting. We accepted an offer for him earlier in the summer because he's injury prone. He's not the perfect man for this. But at the time, it was double the amount. And I'm wondering if because he's injured, that's reducing it a bit. I mean, it's a good deal, but it's not good enough. If we reject it, they'll come back again. I want sort of 2.5, 3 million for him in guaranteed money. So I'll wait and see if we get that. I'm going to return Jack Newman to the reserves because we've got too many keepers now. I thought it would be easy to get rid of Baxter on loan, but I think the wage is proving a problem in truth. And we haven't got a big offer for Siegrist. He signed a new contract, but it's not on big money or anything, so he could still be approached. But that's one of the things I found a bit weird here. The players that have had transfer interest and those that haven't. So Aberdeen want Nielsen to be first choice, but if they're not willing to pay 600 quid a week of wages, then no. And they've already said now he's not going to be first team. I think they were just doing it to try and get the deal over the line. I will very quickly go and have a look at what jobs are free actually after Macca's comment. Just to see if there's any big ones about. There weren't many in the summer. I think Tottenham popped up briefly, but aside from that, it was Championship and below. There wasn't much in Scotland, and the other countries in the UK obviously are probably a step down reputation-wise, as much as I love some of the leagues. So the only job at the moment is Loughgall, which is the Northern Irish second tier. Security-wise, well, we could have some international honours coming. That could be interesting. But yeah, no real club jobs at the moment, so we'll be here for the foreseeable, I think. Thank you to everyone popping in as well, and thank you for the extra thumbs up. We're just a couple away from double figures now, so if you haven't yet, please do chuck one on it. Come and get involved in the chat. Let us know who your team's playing today and how your FM save's going. I'm always interested to know that. It's getting more and more active over on the Discord with people updating their saves and that, and it's always quite nice to see. But just there's not many quality players about here. I feel like we've reached this sort of awkward, frustrating ceiling where we've got a decent number of players who are good. They get poached before they develop into superstars, like Mockery did. I mean, we tried to take over his loan and that didn't work because he wanted to stay in the MLS. And there's just not that capability to take things over. So let's try again, shall we? We'll try and take over the loan deal. We'll try once more because we're in Europe, we're doing well, and it would be nice. We've had an offer for Dembele around £4 million. He's not going anywhere. He's a superstar, but we'll leave it for as long as possible. Spurrell is going though. He leaves for Spain. That's a 150 grand deal. A good servant for us, never really underperformed. Just not quite good enough as we make the step up. And not quite attacking enough, really. I think we've already registered everyone for Europe. Even though we're not in the third qualifying round, because we're drawn in that against a team who's in it against them or someone else, we get asked to put our squad forward at this point for some reason. Matt O'Reilly is out of contract in 2 years. Shall we offer him a new deal while he's playing well? My worry is, once he signs it, he'll probably go back to being not very good again. But he doesn't want huge money, and we've got to tie our assets down. So I think for us, we have to offer him one. You know, I'm already a very strict negotiator, so you're going to have to bear with me on this one. Let's get those down as much as possible. We'll go for $3 grand a week. We'll try and get the signing on fee down, because that's immediate money, obviously. And then everything else, just round it down. So he's put 3.5. So if we go higher of the in-betweens, or should we go 3.4? Because that's what it said at first. 55 there, and 1 down in each of them. It's a pretty good deal in truth. And it's another 2 years of one of our star players on a very modest wage. The Mockery loan offer has been accepted. Now, will he reject us, or will he come back to Scotland? That's the next big question. We'll be a little bit sort of betrayed if he doesn't come back to us now. Playing in Europe above playing in the MLS, perhaps. But it's an experience, isn't it? Look at this as well. TNS in our Bangor City save, absolutely useless. Here, third qualifying round of the Champions League, putting up a fight, and their players aren't even as good. That's what frustrates me. He's nowhere near as good as some of their stars in my current Bangor City save. They just don't perform there. Who's their manager? Because that seems to be the big difference. They've got an established English manager here. Not world class by any means, but a decent manager. He was always hated by Luton fans for some reason, Paul Card, and when he came, probably because of his Cambridge links, and he was associated with Gary Brabin, but he's a better manager than the ones they've had in that save. Let's go and get towards the Falkirk game, though. It's a massive one for us. Macca at Leicester now in my journeyman save. Finished 3rd and 4th first 2 seasons, but still miles behind the top 2. I think that's become more realistically difficult this year, is catching the real top sides. Like here, in this one, I would imagine in previous years, we probably would have been able to do this in 3 years or 4 years. But it's becoming a lot more difficult and a lot harder to do. I think the bigger sides are getting much better at poaching young players and putting in big offers to attract them away. The financial muscle element is there. There's still a slight, I would say Dundee United, the money's not quite right. The fact that we've got 70 million in the bank probably isn't right. But maybe the Europa Conference will do that for some of these nations. We'll have to wait and see. So I don't want to put all of these guys in the reserves this time, because we've got a cup game in midweek. So what we're going to do is we're going to have the 2 youngsters in there. So Milligan and Dunn. Wherever Dunn's gone off to. He was in there a minute ago. Where's Stephen Dunn gone? Baxter or one of the backup keepers. Why not? Baxter's a good youngster. We'll get him in there. In terms of the squad, Stephen Dunn. Let's make him available for the reserves for 90 minutes. But in the cup game, we want to give these lads a chance. We want to try and shine. But yeah, I would definitely agree that the top side's more realistic this year. They're just, they skittle away with leagues. They run off on the top. And they're more consistent. As we come again into the Falkirk match, got loads of warnings to close down a lot of them new signings. And we've been recommended to make changes. So I think we're going to stick with a team that did very handsomely in the last game. There are some potential changes we could make, but I'm not going to do that today. We'll do that in the cup, and then we might rotate a little after that one. But for now, same 11, same 18. And the new boys, the rest of them will just have to be patient, I'm afraid. And fingers crossed, we'll be able to get a result here. So let's have a look how many of those new boys are in. They've got some good players as well. So Simon Eastwood was our backup keeper for a while. They've got Noel Keown there, Marley Watkins, Declan McManus, all players that haven't signed this year. So actually it's a pretty solid squad. I would be surprised if they're not fighting to or staying up pretty comfortably. They're certainly a better side than Inverness on paper, and there's probably one or two others, but then Ayr always perform above their on-paper standard. The same for Dunfermline, the same for Livingston, as Mitchell's got a throw on the left to Finlay Robertson. He picks the ball up inside left to Shankland. Out wide to Mitchell again. Chance to cross into the box. Gets into there. Finds Johnston, who's just pipped out of it by the challenge. And it comes out to Robertson yet again. Mitchell plays a 1-2 with him. Looks a class act in the middle there. Finlay Robertson for the third time. Great delivery. And look who scored again. Matt O'Reilly is on absolute fire. Brilliant performance. Brilliant goal. And he's becoming a superstar. He miraculously manages to do this every transfer window. So let's see if we get a big offer for him, or if he signs the new deal and actually has a full good season. He's at the age now where he should get consistent. As Shankland chases the long through ball, it's just overhit. And our former keeper Simon Eastwood picks it up. Clears it long downfield. Mengi intercepts. McCann picks it up in the middle. Goes right to Dembele. Gets towards the byline. No pressure on him. Goes for the shot instead. And Eastwood does well to tip it over the bar in the end. It's a little bit of a surprise that they got themselves into that position. Jacob, pleased to keep the streak of watching your streams. Much appreciated. Thank you for popping in as always. Siegrist is still starting, but we have got a new keeper, Jacob. He'll make his debut in the Cup. He's a good experienced goalkeeper and may well come into the team. But thank you for popping along. Thank you for getting involved as always. As Ted Mengi heads in for 2. I know we're playing the 2 weakest sides on paper in the division. But this is a very good start. O'Reilly sets this one up. He's been like a house on fire. But thank you, Jacob, for popping in. Thank you to all the regulars for coming and getting involved as always. I do appreciate it. A very quick plug while we're here. Tomorrow morning is something new on the channel. Instead of what would have been the live streams before, I've got a mini tactical special. So I sort of did this sort of insight video because a lot of people in the banger save had asked to see how the tactic works in detail as Shankland gets himself into the box, shot saved by Eastwood, good goalkeeping. But yeah, a lot of people has asked to see how the banger tactic works, how we decided it, how we make it sort of tick on a day-to-day basis in matches. So I've just sort of done an in-depth tactical special on the narrow diamond, and then I got a real taste for it. So I then recorded a match analysis one, which is something I never get to show in the videos themselves. I never get to show you how I use match analysis, match reports, how we use the in-depth side of individual tactics, because most people don't want to see that. They want to see a story. So for those of you that are interested, that's going to be the next few Sunday mornings, just that little series. And then the third one is this sort of 3-2-1 tactic, 4-2-3-1 tactic. I've done how it can be used to do a defensive and an attacking shape, because we've got it with the Southampton in the head coach, where it's defensively tight as a nut. And here, it's an attacking fluent formation. So I've just sort of showed you how one tactic can work in 2 or 3 different ways. L Gaming, hi, sorry I'm late. No problem. Thank you for popping in. Lovely to have the regulars in. L Gaming, I'm the Wales manager now as well on the Wrexham, as Wrexham on my save. That's a really good move, actually. It's something that I obviously rejected early in the banger save because I wasn't ready for it. But it's the next time it comes up, I'll definitely take that job as well. Falkirk haven't had a shot against us yet. The only crime, really, is that it's only 2-0. But thank you for popping in, Jacob and L Gaming. Lovely to have the regulars in. Macca, I'm really struggling to get an AML working in this year's game. It's quite frustrating. So when I've used a winger, it's always worked quite well. When I've used an inside forward, it's never worked. So like even Johnston, he's best as an inside forward, but I have to use him as an inverted winger because that works better tactically. And right on cue, he has a brilliant chance there and probably should have scored. We'll give him a little bit of leeway because it's the first couple of games of the season. But on the head coach series, the attacking left wingers worked pretty well generally. So it's the inside forward I think that I've struggled with the most. I've not been able to get one of them playing well. But winger on support or inverted winger on support has worked. The other thing I've noticed this year, for both winger sides this is, that I don't think attacking duties work as well as support ones. But that's just my opinion. Let me know if you've had anything different. As Brooking gets down the right wing, towards the byline, the new fullback. Cuts it back to McCann. Into Finlay Robertson. Wide left to Mitchell. We look fluent. The ball's in. Dembele's there. Drops down for him. And it's 3-0, but it's disallowed. Maybe a foul, a push. Can't have been offside. It is. Oh. Not quite sure why there. 25 to go again. We will go and make a couple of subs. L Game, yeah, I couldn't make Tuesday, I don't think. Oh, I might not have. I'm not sure. Don't worry about it. Not everyone can make everyone. So don't worry if you've missed the odd one. I've gone a bit blurry again for some reason. I'm not quite sure why. There we go. We're back to normal now. But yeah, don't worry if you can't make every stream. The more the merrier. It's lovely to have a lot of the regulars along. It's lovely to see one or two new people. It's lovely that we're always there or thereabouts in double figures, even at this stage of the game. Maka is an inside forward I use on the left in my team. Well, I'm only speaking from experience. Like, I've had players who were suited to the inside forward. I can't remember which club it happened at first. It might have even been Dundee in the head coach, where the inside forward just wouldn't work. So after half a season, I just put them as an inverted winger. So there was something where they were cutting in onto their strong foot, and it seemed to work better. I don't really know the reasons the inside forward didn't work, or whether that's just me or just my tactic, but it's something I've seen consistently this year. So I've just given up now and gone to the inverted winger. Johnston will take a couple to settle in, but Dembele scored off the left in the last game. Watson will come onto the right. Finley Robertson, again, not the fittest, settling in, so Stevie Mallon onto the pitch. And then the one thing that's worrying me about Brooking is complacency at right back. But Finley's not had the best game here either. So we're going to bring on Jason Kerr. Had a big injury towards the end of last season, of course. So hopefully they'll be able to level out. Jake, good morning. Thank you for popping in. Lovely to have you here as always. Lovely to see all the regulars popping in. Macca, I've got Palistri on the right on attack at Leicester. He's been fantastic. That's really interesting, actually. I suppose I haven't used them on the right as much because we've generally always had right footers. I think the only place I've used them is sort of Southampton a bit. And that's probably about it. Because every club I've been at in a head coach, I've had good right wingers till then. As Mallon scores an absolute rocket. And this is what I wanted at the start of the season. 3 players in each position fighting it out to start. Between McCann, Mallon and Robertson, who we've joined on loan, O'Reilly and Holsgrove in the number 10, we've got 5 brilliant players for the midfield 3 there. And that's the strength in depth we need. So dominant display, a brilliant performance. As Brooking flicks on for Watson, Eastwood saves. He's been powerless today. He's made some good saves as well. But yeah, I'm really interested in the fact that you've got an inside forward working off the right. L Game in a win for Wrexham and a loss for Torquay could move us 1 point off third. Yeah, I see you're creeping up now, aren't you? It's just about what Sutton do with their games in hand. If they win them all, they could be well clear. But Wrexham are up there. I told you though, didn't I? First 10 games, Wrexham wouldn't be great. Too many new players. And then they come good. We said the same about Bolton, and the same's happened there in League 2. You've got to give, when you buy 12 to 15 new players, you've got to give them time to bed in. Jake, you've just asked a question that's perfect, as O'Reilly scores yet again. I just mentioned it before you came in. Tomorrow morning on the channel at 10:30, there's an in-depth tactical special for that Bangor City narrow diamond. So I've literally created a whole episode dedicated to how I make my narrow diamond work. Because it's not just as simple as the formation and things like that. And quite a few people in the Bangor save had asked for it. So it's something I've just recorded. As I said a few minutes ago, I fell in love with it then. And then on the week after that, we've got a match analysis special. So I can show you then how the narrow diamond works by using the match instructions. As Shankland has scored again. Because those match reports, you don't show them in a story, but it's absolutely brilliant. It can be so useful. And not many people use it in FM, I don't think. Oh, you play Palistri as a winger. Sorry, but on an attacking duty. But even then, I've never got an attacking duty working this year. So that's an impressive one. The lefty inside forward doesn't work at all. Yeah, completely agree. Jake Legend, you haven't heard it yet. It might be rubbish. It's the first time I've ever made anything of that nature. So, I mean, the feedback will be interesting. Let me know what you think of it. Because obviously it's going to be quite an important one. Because I've recorded 2 or 3 now. But if not, then if it's not great, then I won't do them after that, of course. But a comfortable 5-0 victory. Maybe Falkirk are worse than Inverness. I know we've played the 2 weakest sides. But that is a good start to the season. We're going to play one more game today, I think. Which is Falkirk again. But this time in the League Cup. And this time with a lot of our players rotated out so we can see what our second squad's like and whether it's good enough to compete. Because once we get into the European season, we're going to need that. Jacob, Barnet 2 points above Dover, and Dover have 9 games in hand. Unless that grant money gets put into their bank account very quickly, Dover will not play another game this season. Barnet are in disarray. I know Tim Flowers has gone as well. But you can change the managers all you want. We've said this in every manager special on the podcast channel. The clubs that are well-footed off the pitch are always the ones that generally do better. I mean, Chris Wilder's a great example at Sheffield United. He's one of the few that's been able to mask for years some of the chaos off the pitch. And he's ended up being punished for it, essentially. Gaming, after the stream, I'm going to catch up with a banger save. That's lovely to hear. I hope you enjoy it. I'm really enjoying it now. We've got to that stage of the FM cycle where the head coach always starts getting bigger views by comparison. Of course, this year is on a different scale to other years. And about this point, it just levels out. Because generally, those who watch the start of the head coach, those sort of casual viewers, big news, we'll come to that in a minute, they can lose interest. Whereas the ones who watch the Bangor City save are normally the regulars who are invested. So it's nice to see them level it out. And I'm loving Bangor City. Jacob, North and South null and void, yeah. I saw they were thinking about reopening it again after the grant news, but doesn't look like happening. But I'd be interested what happens for like the National League clubs that can't finish, like a Dover, for example. If they go bankrupt, then what are they going to do? Because there's been no leagues below to promote from. The National League's already a team down. We could conceivably get to the situation where there's 20 teams next season and no relegation. So, I don't know. It's all a bit of a mess down there. Gaming, I mean, no disrespect, but Barnet were rubbish against Wrexham. There's so many problems there on and off the pitch. Wage-wise, structure-wise, owner getting involved in a football side-wise. There's all sorts going on. We have just had the biggest news of the window here. And we talked about getting our left-sided players working. Chris Mockery is that man. Him and Johnston on the left. On the right, we'll still have Dembele, and we can keep one of Duffy or Byrne. And that means we can then sell the other and bring money in. But Chris Mockery is coming back to Dundee United. After rejecting it the first time, he is back here. He scored 6 in 11 in the MLS, and he's rated as our best winger. Our best one off the left, second best off the right, and the best number 10 at the club. Though O'Reilly's in the form of his life. He'll welcome him back to the club. That's a big moment. I mean, he's even a natural centre midfielder, don't forget. So we've got some real depth in this squad. Real quality across the board. Thank you to everyone coming in as well. Lovely to have so many of you here. We're into double figures on the thumbs up, so thank you again for your incredible support. And thank you for getting involved as always. It's lovely to have so many of you in the chat. I did promise I'd do a quick thank you again to SOF and Josh, who both have donated over the last few weeks. It's not something I asked for, but because they have, I have to give them a little mention and a shout out, because it's an incredible thing for a channel my size. So thank you to both of them. Thank you to all of you guys for making the chat so active yet again. And just for coming in and watching. For me, now the first bit of lockdown's ended, the sun's out shining. There's football on the TV and you're here with me. It does make a difference. And I'm glad you're still enjoying it. It probably, I don't want to say this too early, I think it might be the last season at Dundee United. Because if we can't get into the top 2 or close this year, or go on a big European run, I think we probably have to accept that we're not going to. It's been a very slow build, but we might have to go somewhere else. Gaming, have you had a second donation? Yes, SOF, I think it was last Saturday, SOF did a super chat. So thank you to him as well. Gaming, I have a feeling Wrexham will go up this season, but I really hope we go up. I think Wrexham will go up. The top of that table is a little bit tight now. I think Notts County are back in it as well, because they were looking at it before going, look, Torquay are so many points clear or whatever. But it only takes one bad run, one little set of injuries. I mean, Torquay, the last 10 games, what have they actually won? They won away at Solihull, which was a good result. They won away at Barnet, which, as we've mentioned, everyone does. But in the league, they're their only 2 victories in 2021. They really are falling off a cliff. Hartlepool are flying. Sutton United, they've really backed and invested this year. So I think they might be ones to look out for. They're still picking up results. You saw against Wrexham, they're very solid. Stockport are back in the hunt. Despite the fact they've lost their manager, they're still picking up points because they've got a very good team. Wrexham are in there. Notts County have got, 4 games in hand. If they win them, they're joint top. So there's so much undecided. And because the league is so diluted in terms of who's played how many games, it's so hard to tell. Like, even look at 12th place, Chesterfield. They've won 4 of their last 5. They've got 4 games in hand. And if they win them, they're on 48 points. It's as simple as that. I mean, the Dover situation's ridiculous. They wouldn't be able to catch up now anyway. They've got 31 games to play and a maximum of 2.5 months to do it, which is 14 weeks. So they would be playing 3 games a week. And I don't see how that works because a lot of the other sides won't be able to play on Thursdays and whatever to fit around it. So, yeah, seems a bit strange. Matt O'Reilly has signed a new deal. I just hope he can play like this for a whole season. And against some of the stronger opposition, where he often becomes a shrinking violet. Thank you as always for your incredible support as well. Lovely to have you all here this morning. L Gaming, I wouldn't have read too much into the games in hand because they'll have loads of games at the end of the season. Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Normally you'd say, oh, they've got games in hand. But once you get to sort of 3, 4, 5 and 6 games in hand, rather than just 1 or 2, you then have to think about, have they got the squad to cope with that? Now, for someone like Notts County, I think probably yes. For a team like Chesterfield, perhaps. Sutton, don't know. It's an unknown. They've got experienced players, but does that mean they'll know how to get the victories? Or does that mean they'll run out of steam quicker? It can go either way, can't it? Right, we've got the cup tie tomorrow, so I'm going to leave everybody out of the SPFL Trust Trophy game. I mean, we could put a keeper in there in fairness, but I don't know that that'll do much for us. We've rejected the offer for Dembele, who's definitely a star man this season. So in terms of the reserves match, I mean, they've got Newman in there. I just really want to give the rest of them a game. And then hopefully it becomes about selling players between now and the next episode. Which I think after this one, it is the European game. There's no weekend match. So our final action of the morning will be a trip to Falkirk. I'm hoping there'll be some news on the Luton Town lineup soon as well. El Gaming, I really don't want Chesterfield to make the playoffs. So I know you're not a fan of them, but I think they'll be up there. They're a good club. Well, that's it, Jacob. For Dover, it's a necessity to play Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, for an example. Or Saturday, Monday, Wednesday, whatever. But for the other clubs, if they're playing Saturday and then they haven't got a game to the next Saturday because they haven't stopped fulfilling their fixtures, they would probably say, well, why should I have to play on a Monday night? Why should I have to play on a Thursday in close proximity to the other game because this side didn't fulfil their fixtures? It just doesn't make any sense. Do you know what I mean? Ah, Josh, thank you very much again. You're too kind to us. I really do appreciate it. Ah, SOF, absolutely. There we go. They're all coming through. Thank you for your support. So I'll put them back through so you can see them. Let's go and get involved. And hopefully we'll be able to get into it. But yeah, the National League, the end of the season is going to be absolutely mad. I'm not quite sure how it's going to work out, to be brutally honest. But we'll wait and see. I think it's going to get a bit political and a little bit messy. But you can disagree with me if you want to. Let's go and get into this. Unless the games are scheduled for Dover away on Thursdays, I couldn't see it happening. Yeah, but there's still the thing then of the other club saying, well, I've only got 48 hours. Or do their games have to move to Sunday? Or does something else have to happen? I can see it getting really, really messy. I'm not sure how it's going to work. I just can't see how Dover can play 31 games in 2.5 months. They're going to have to forfeit fixtures. They're going to have to give up points. But then that causes another problem, you know? But then what's the punishment for them if there's no relegation? It's such a difficult situation. Right, Xander Clark is going to make his debut in goal. Let's get this team out quickly. Dehaney right back. Boys left back. Kerr and Nielsen in the middle. Who's going to play the left side? Kerr, because he'd prefer to. Into midfield, we have got Stevie Mallon, who hasn't started a game yet. Glenn Ray alongside him. And then Mockery's not quite fit yet, so he's going to have a rest. Darren Watson will be up front. We're still struggling a bit with wingers. Holsgrove will make a start. And out wide, we have got a bit of a problem, haven't we? Not quite sure how we're going to cope with that. L Gaming, I think the playoffs will be right now. Top 6 in no order. Torquay, Wrexham, Sutton, Notts County, Stockport, Hartlepool. And 7th. Oh, I don't know about Yeovil actually because of the way they're going. I think it probably will be Chesterfield, to be honest, if they can keep up with the games. L Gaming, did you just get another donation? I don't think so. I think the software that we're using for streams glitched and it just showed the same ones again because it's the same two with the same comments. So I don't think it is. If it is, a massive thank you and sorry, but I think it's just a little technical glitch from the streaming software. But for L Gaming, if you missed the last one, there's some of the fancy little pop-ups that come up now. Fancy graphics. What shall I do on the wings? Because Duffy is back fit. But I don't really have anyone else I can bring in. This is a little bit of a problem for us. I'm going to go for... Do you know what? I'm going to play Johnston off the left. And I'm going to play Duffy off the right. Because Burns not fit. Now Mockery's in. He can come in left wing in the weekend. And Mikey Johnston's actually got worse in terms of ability here. I'm not sure that the judgment is quite as good as it should be. But nevertheless... On the bench, we will put young Milligan and young Dunn. And then in terms of the squad, Ali McCann can be the midfielder. Dembele can be the winger. We've just got to have some superstars available, basically. The go-tos if needed. And then, who's the best physically at the back? Brookin. And perhaps Finley. I think that's what we're going to go for. So last game of the morning. It is Falkirk v Dundee United. It's a fully rotated side, so you can see the new boys in action. And hopefully it's going to be exciting. There are fancy pop-ups. There's different ones for all sorts. I did try, and I'll have to look into the technicals of it, to put a ticker along the bottom to thank people who have subscribed, who've been active in the chat, who have donated and all that stuff. But I've got it available, and it's just not showing up for some reason. So I'll have to look into that. I'm not a technical man. Imagine the scenes if the FA decide to replace Dover with a team from the 9th tier. They should probably replace them with South Shields, who had already technically, officially won promotion before the lockdown started the year before. They were in step 3. They'd won the title. They were celebrating promotion, and then a pandemic came, and then they got kept where they were for null and void. Seems a bit bizarre. Into the first half, I've got a chance to get the Luton line up here, so let's do that while we're at it. Because it's a big game today. Luton Town v Swansea. We're big. We can spoil the promotion party. Norwich were just too good for us last week. But I think, looking at this lineup, we're almost as strong as we can be. I've got some real good players in there. There's quite a few defensive ones. As the ball goes to Duffy on the right. Into Glenn Ray. One of those who I'm not sure. Is Ray starting today? I didn't look. Matty Pearson, one of our former players here is. Glenn Ray is on the bench. Here's Jason Kerr at the back to Boys. Even though we've rotated the whole squad here, early on we look very threatening. As Watson finds Johnston, cuts inside from the left, back to Mallon. He goes to Ray. Ray's got 2 with him again. Duffy's 1 through to Darren Watson. Has to score and does. And whenever he plays, he always scores. Darren Watson, a superstar. And we're very happy with him. What a wonderful player. What a good side we've got this year. And I feel like the squad is significantly stronger. Thank you to everyone popping in as well. Lovely to have you here this morning. This is the final game of the morning. Now we'll go and enjoy our weekends. But a reminder, there is a bonus tactical special tomorrow morning at 10:30 where we talk about the Narrow Diamond. We've got a few more planned for the next couple of Sundays. And we've also got all of our normal videos. So the head coach at 3:30 today. Bangor City tomorrow at the same time. And then live streaming again on Tuesday afternoon. as Nielsen plays out from the back here. Goes into midfield to Glenray. Looks very comfortable in the holding role. Back to Dehaney on the right. He's flying down the line. There's no pressure on him. He's just skinned a lot of them. He's got 3 in support. Might cross it though. Into the box. Watson's there. And the keeper's dived out the way. It's Darren Watson with his second of the match. And we are starting to look like a very good football team. I'm trying not to get too excited because in these 3 games, we've only played the 2 weakest sides in the league who got promoted last year. But surely the nature of the performances have to give us excitement. I guess it can all come crashing back to earth at the start of Tuesday's episode if we lose in the Europa League. But either way, it's European group stage football. And you could argue if we get to the Europa Conference, we've got a better chance of succeeding. As Dehaney comes down the right to Ray, plays a 1-2 with him, gets to the byline, crosses in, Watson's there, hat-trick for Darren Watson. And that means that the youngsters are going to get a run out today because we're 3-0 up, we're almost certainly through. And we can be really enjoying that one. Wonderful performance. Jacob, the FA, we're pleased to announce the relegation of Dover to the Southern Combination League within step 5 of the non-league pyramid. But they can't do that if they're financially insolvent. And don't be fooled, as Nielsen scored a 4th here, they're not going to be the only ones. I mean, the Kings Lynn chairman said, they've got 3 or 4 more games in them. If the grant doesn't come in time, there will still be some casualties here. And that's something that really concerns me, because I don't want to see any club going out of business. Right, let's get some changes on. Milligan will replace Duffy. Watson will go out to the right. We're going to have Stephen Dunn on at left back for Morgan Boys. I think Morgan Boys anyway. And then really I'd like to rest Johnston, but I think I'm going to leave him for the whole 90 because the rest of our bench is first teamers. So do I want to risk fitness for any of them? Maybe McCann on for Ray actually. Just strengthen that midfield a bit. Give us that little solidity as we bring young players in. As Mallon crosses the ball, Nielsen goes up. Can't quite get there, but it's only away as far as Mikey Johnston. Real chance to start settling in. Give him 10 games and he'll start to perform. But on this occasion, he's been pretty woeful to be honest. But we pick the ball up almost immediately. Look how much we're winning it back high up the pitch. Watson gets it on the right. The new striker's in there. Can he find him? Watson to the byline. Into Milligan. And he scored within 5 minutes. Ray Milligan, his first appearance, his first goal. That's why we sold Finn Malcolm. Because we have got a hotbed of talent coming through. And Milligan is as good as any of them. And if we can get Watson playing well on the right later on as well, we could have a load of wonder kids. We might even be able to sell Shanklin before the end of this. But with 10 minutes to go, it's been the perfect start. Yes, against 2 very weak sides. But 4-0 at Inverness, 5-0 against Falkirk, and 5-0 again against Falkirk in the Cup with a very rotated side. This is a squad that means business. And if we can keep them fit and keep them working hard when we're in Europe as well, we could have a special year. And you could argue, if we fall into the Europa Conference, that this backup side's good enough to get through. And that might cause itself another bit of positivity for us, because we can play the first 11 all the time in the league. As Kerr loses out in a challenge there, Watkins loses the header, and Mallon's back fighting in his own box. Clears it as far as Johnston, who surges through the pitch. He's got a man up with him. Goes alone instead, cuts it inside to Holsgrove, through to Milligan. He's offside. Could have been a wonderful moment for him, a second goal of the game. But unfortunately, he won't be able to today. Jacob, it's not even the chairman's fault. Not like they ran into debt due to poor budget management. Exactly. They tried so hard in the summer to get as many people off the wage bill as possible. And to have your funding cut almost immediately because you've got no fans in, you've got no sales, match day sales, you've got no merchandise sales really. It's a massive blow. It's not like these clubs, some of them are going out of business just because of the poor management. The only ones I don't feel for are the ones that voted to be an elite competition at the start of the pandemic. Those who didn't, like Dover, they deserve all the support they can get. Let's go and have a look at how things are going. Because Baxter's still finding fitness there. Can't be the same Baxter, is it? No, Steve Baxter. I thought they put our backup keeper up front for a minute there. Watson was on fire. He got a hat-trick and set up Milligan's first ever goal for Dundee United. And I think we've got to be pleased with that performance. That result is absolutely stunning. So let's have a look at the schedule for what we've got coming up. What we'll do actually, as we've got a few minutes, we'll just skip ahead to after tomorrow night so we know who we're facing in the Europa League. So apparently someone wants Morgan Boys. I'm not too worried about that because we've got a good young backup left back. I would have probably kept Sporrell though if I knew that was going to happen. Because Morgan Boys is worth 350 grand. We can get like $500,000 or so. That'd be very good. Milligan, youngest ever player and scorer for the football club. Another good side moving forward. Who was it before? Christian Daly. So who is it going to be? Olympiacos or Ghent? I guess Olympiacos we know we can beat from last year, but they're probably a better side now, given they're in a higher competition, just like us. And then we've also got AA Ghent, who we will be facing. So who have they got that isn't greyed out? Marvellous Makamba from Aston Villa. That's a bit of a step up, isn't it? A very good young left back from Belgium at 18 years of age. A right winger from Denmark who's a good player, former under-21 international. And then their star player is a Georgian number 10 who looks unbelievable. He's worth £19 million. Let's have a look at some of the grade outs. So the keeper, not quite as good as ours. So that basically their grade out players are good, but similar or not quite as good as ours. And then their real players are better than ours. So it's going to be a close tie, that one. And the fact they've got past Olympiacos, who we had to sneak through last year, is a bad sign for us. So that is going to shape the next episode. A double header against Ghent, Dunfermline away in the Scottish Premiership, transfer deadline day as well, which coincides with that European match, and then Celtic at home before the international break to finish it off. A massive episode really for us. It's going to shape this season and whether it will be a success. This one, we saw the transfers are settling in well. We saw we've got quality when we need to, but we've only played the two weakest sides, so we still can't get too excited. I keep saying that to try and convince it of myself. And hopefully we'll be able to replicate those performances when we play against some of the bigger sides. But thank you to everyone for coming in this morning. I really have appreciated having you here. It's been a lovely active chat. It's been really supportive as always. So thank you for coming and getting involved again. It really is much appreciated and I hope you're still enjoying it. A final reminder that as well as our regular videos every day at 3:30, there will be a bonus tactical special tomorrow morning focusing on the Bangor Narrow Diamond. And of course, you can catch up with a full replay if you've missed any of the action afterwards. We'll be back on Tuesday from this one at 5:30 p.m. and hopefully we'll be able to get in some good performances, a bit more transfer gold dust, and just sneak through to the Europa League group stages. That's the plan now, and I'll see you there. Thanks for watching.